On this episode of China Uncensored, Chinese media says what? Hi, and welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. Well, folks, it's the end of an era. U.S. Ambassador to China Gary Locke left China last week after resigning from his post. I, for one, am going to miss him. He was the ambassador when Wang Lijun snuck into the U.S. consulate in a dress, exposing a level of political intrigue so dirty that Frank Underwood is still taking notes. Locke was also there when blind legal activist Chen Guangchen sought shelter at the U.S. Embassy after making his daring action movie-like escape from house arrest. Frankly, that's the most excitement the U.S. Embassy has seen since Bo Xilai's son allegedly picked up the former ambassador's daughter in his red Ferrari. Locke is the first Chinese American to serve as ambassador, and he became a rock star in China after photos of him carrying his own luggage and buying his own coffee at Starbucks went viral. Such mundane tasks are usually beneath your typical Chinese official. That's why it was so shocking to Chinese citizens. That didn't sit too well with the officials, so one state-run newspaper called Locke part of a neo-colonialist plot to strengthen pro-US forces in China. Yes, how dare Locke spread American values like wearing a backpack and saving money by flying economy. Locke became such a hot topic that Chinese censors issued orders for domestic media to stop covering him so much. That definitely seems like a nuanced approach that won't backfire on them at all. In his farewell speech, Locke said that while he was proud of his Chinese heritage, he was also proud of American values. He also talked about how Chinese authorities need to respect the rule of law, freedom of expression, and human rights. That went over really well with Chinese authorities, judging by a piece published the next day by state-run China News Service, which called Locke a banana with a yellow skin and white heart. Sorry, make that a rotting banana, and a guide dog for the blind, I assume they're talking about Chen Guangchen, and also implicitly blaming him for pollution in Beijing. That definitely seems like a nuanced approach that won't backfire on them at all. For more on this issue, we're joined by special correspondent Shelley Zhang. Shelley?
Thanks, Chris.
Shelley, as a Chinese American, you must have some thoughts on this.
Yes, Chris. Was that editorial full of horrible racist slurs that are an embarrassment to a rising world power? Of course. Was it incredibly stupid of the China News Service to publish that editorial because now they have both Western media and ordinary Chinese netizens defending Gary Locke? Sure. But you have to look at the big picture here to figure out who's really to blame. And that person is Barack Obama.
I'm not quite getting that.
That's because you need to get yourself a pair of these.
Are those glasses with the Chinese flag glued on them?
These, Chris, are party glasses. They help you see the complicated and truly paranoid reasons behind each person's deceptively simple actions. Now, they're really helpful for seeing the kind of mindset of people who have crawled their way up the Communist Party leadership.
What are you doing?
That's the one thing about wearing these glasses. From the corner of your eye, it always looks like someone's about to come and stab you in the back.
Okay, so what does this situation look like through party glasses?
Well, the Obama administration has been truly devious when it comes to selecting ambassadors to China. They started off their charm offensive with John Huntsman. Now, Chris, you know yourself the devastating effect that a young, handsome Lao Wai with a great head of hair and a masterly command of Mandarin can have on Chinese people.
Well, I don't know about masterly.
I mean, how else would a guy as annoying as Dashan be able to build an entertainment career based solely on being able to speak Chinese?
You were talking about Dashan.
Yeah, who else, Chris?
Never mind, go on.
Well, then Obama follows up Huntsman, a man who has a Chinese daughter, with Locke, who is actually Chinese. And that's bad for the Communist Party.
You mean because Locke makes Chinese officials look bad with their umbrella-holding lackeys and chauffeured Audis while Locke is walking around Beijing buying ice cream for his kids?
Sure, but it's not just that. You know how when China loans a panda to a foreign zoo, any cute little panda babies that panda has belong to China and have to be returned to the motherland? Well, the Communist Party sees people like me as little baby pandas. We may have spent most of our lives outside China, or our families may have left China generations ago, but we're still overseas Chinese, and we should belong to them.
That's ridiculous.
Ridiculous like a fox, Chris. There's an entire branch of the Communist Party responsible for influencing Chinese abroad, the United Front Work Department. The Communist Party wants Chinese people to see things their way, and they do that by purposely conflating the Chinese people and the Chinese government, and then also conflating the Chinese government and the Communist Party. So in the end, the Chinese people have to feel exactly the same as the Communist Party feels. And it works. Those of us who disagree with the Communist Party on different issues get called traitors by other Chinese people.
So when someone like Gary Locke comes in talking about how he's American and he believes in human rights and American values, that's dangerous.
Very much so. They have to call Locke a race traitor, a self-hating banana. Otherwise, these Western values of freedom coming from someone who's ethnically Chinese start to seem a lot more universal. And when Locke talks about how his grandfather came to the U.S. as a servant and 2 generations later he became a governor, a cabinet official, an ambassador, Gary Locke is a walking American dream. And what if that American dream starts interfering with Xi Jinping's China dream? And have you noticed Xi Jinping acting kind of weird lately?
More ruthless and Godfather-like than usual?
No, more holding his own umbrella and spontaneously showing up among the common people than usual. Does that remind you of anyone?
So Xi Jinping is pulling a Gary Locke. Speaking of U.S. ambassadors, I just want to end this by asking you what you think of the new ambassador, former Senator Max Baucus.
Well, Chris, it's a little too early to tell, but judging from this picture from a few years ago, he and Chinese officials may get off to a rocky start. Chris?
Thanks, Shelley. So what do you think of Gary Locke and his legacy in China? Leave your comments below or in the China Uncensored Facebook page. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.